Okay, so I'm making this so I don't forget how to do this later. So what this is here is basically a Pokemon style combat game. As you can see, it's basically like this. There's attacking, there's healing, etc. And it all works okay. As you can see, numbers going down. You can change for monsters 1 and 2. And that changes the names and stuff. And it's all really simple. First of all, you don't need to know what this is. Well, this is useful, but it's going to be useful for something like whenever you want to save like character stats or things like that, so that way they can be accessed in another part of the game, but you don't need that right now. You might want it later, but we can go over that another time. Okay, so what we have here is stats.gd, which is a resource. Whenever you make a script, if you want to make a resource, you can do this, create new, script, and you save it, you have it in here as a resource. You give it a name, not here, but, you know, you give it a name, you press create, and then you have a resource. Then, I gave it the class name stats. That means it's stats, and it will remember this thing, which you'll need to know about, but it'll call it stats. It's useful, it's great, glad we have it. Sorry, I don't have a script, I'm going off of here. Oh dear, my computer's dying. Hold on. Oh dear. Okay. Fixed that. Okay, so, what you need to know is you make your little stats here, like name, attack, HP, defense. I don't know if you have to have it set up like this for it to work. I know I didn't have to have this set as a string, but I think it prevents errors and issues later if you do, because it won't accidentally think it's a string or something instead of an integer, which is important. Okay, and in these you can set functions, like take damage, such as an amount, which gets put in at the start, and you print the amount minus equals defense. Okay, you don't have to print. Print just tells me what number it's at. I was using that for testing reasons. So you don't actually need to print things. You just need amount minus defense. It knows these because your variables are up there. Your healing will be there, which is health plus the amount that it's healing by. Then you have player save, which I don't know if that's important for something else later, but you don't need that right now. These are the very, 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 very bare bones basics of what you need in your resource script. Very basic stuff, thankfully. And once you have this set up, you can go to your inspector, and if I go to, let's see, okay, actually, if we go to the battlefield, which is the main area, you can have it set to stats, which, like before, is just the name right here. It's just your class name, stats, because it's of class stats. So, first off, you have player stats and monster stats. In order to use the stats that are plugged into that, okay, now how did I do that again? Let me think. Okay, how did I make it know what the player's stats were? I know I put it in somewhere somehow, but I don't remember how. Oh no. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I needed a second to remember. Okay, so the reason why it's not showing up there is because it's an at export variable. You know, this orange thing right here, at export. That means when you click on this, it'll pop up on this neat little thingy right here. Here you have the player stats. Sorry, it took me a minute to remember that. But, you know, here's your player stats. You can put your name, the attack, etc. in here, and it'll change them in this script here, aka player stats, which, by the way, you can save as, which is important later for monster stats. Now, one of the first things that I wanted to figure out when I was making a monster combat thing was how do I change what monster is actually in play? That turned out to be super simple. You make one of these, but like with the stats for your monster, like right here, then you just save it as something, and then it'll be saved over here as a TRES file. Then you can just do monster stats is equal to this, or monster stats is equal to this. And it will change this up here to be equal to whatever stats you put into both of these. making it really, really easy to just, change out which monster's in play. Ain't that handy dandy? I have it set to be done with this right now, but you could do it a number of ways, and you could use it to make a randomizer. Either way, it'll all replace the monster with this. I do not currently have a setup for changing the actual sprites, but, we're getting there. It's a start. And I have plans for how to do that. And so here's the basic script for how I made the fighting work. So, first we have variable current turn. This tells you whose turn it is. It starts with it being the player's turn. Also, real quick, because you might have some questions here, this is just tracking whose HP is what, whose text is what, and as you can see, you can put the HP stats into here, but you need to put the str in little bubbles around it, because it'll convert it into a string. If you don't do that, it'll be mad at you. But if you do, it'll work fine. And for those who don't know yet, but now do, you can just add, something that's a string plus that to equal that. Which, by the way, works in other things. Like, if you want to play an animation, like let's say you have an animated sprite 2D, and you want to do .play, you can actually do stat thing 1 plus stat thing 2, but you'd have to put the str thing in front of it. Oh, well, not like that, but like that. And it would change it into a string, and you could say, let's say cat plus right, and then you have a cat that's facing right, or front or back, etc., to change its direction based on what your direction stat is. But that's very useful for a lot of things, and I've been using it a lot in my games, and I just thought that'd be useful to anyone who's doing this, because I'm pretty sure that's how I'm going to handle the monsters, sprites, the monster sprites. So then we go here. This just makes a you lose sign pop up, becoming true using .visible equals true if your HP equals 0, or you win if the monster's HP equals 0. I would do a different setup than this later, but for now this is all I have. So, function on attack pressed. You do monster stats take damage, because you have that function over here inside of stats that's take damage. Oops, and then you put in the player stats attack, because anything you put in those little bubbles will be turned into, will be turned into an amount that's an integer, which is this thing. So technically that word could be anything and then it'd be integer, but that's basically the damage you take. So the player's attack would be put in, that would be subtracted from the defense of the creature, and then you remove the HP by the amount, which makes it work nice and smoothly, and you have a nice clean little script. Okay, there we go, back where I go. And that, as you can see, makes it very easy, and then you just do switch turn. What is switch turn? Go down to switch turn. Oh golly, I am having issues here, sorry. So, under switch turn, we have if current turn equals monster, the current turn is now player. You hide the HUD so they can't press their buttons and keep attacking, and if not, then you make the turn the player, and if the turn is currently player, you make the current turn monster, you make the HUD invisible. Okay, sorry, if it's player's turn, HUD visible. If it's monster, HUD invisible. And then you take a monster turn, but only if your current turn is player. Okay, and also I will note I had to have an elif here. I forget the difference between ifs and elifs. I shouldn't forget them, but if you're having issues, I find a lot of times my problems are solved by having an elif. So go to monster turn. I would, however, advise you to actually learn what elifs, ifs, and else statements actually do. I should know this. I am a programmer, I should know this. It's one of the most basic things. But we're not here to make fun of me. I'm just saying, be smarter than me. Work smarter, and you will be a better programmer than me, and it'll be great. So, monster turn. Await, get tree, create timer, timeout. This creates a timer, and the await means that the script will not continue until this timer runs out. It just gives it a little extra pause before you change the player's stats, and then you switch the turns again. And again, player stats.hp minus equals attack. What? Wait, did I actually do that when I created the... Okay, so I did make a freaking attack press thing. I could have just done player.take damage like that. Okay, I don't know why I did it like that. That's not the way you need to do it. I was on autopilot, but this is technically another way you could do it if you don't want to put a function inside of your script. So that's 2 ways to do it, and we're going to pretend that was a good teaching moment for you to learn that, and not me just forgetting I already did this to make it easy. Either way, then you go back to switch turn. Switch turn, once again, does that, and it does its job. Then again, if you want to change your monster, it does all this. Chosen monster equals this, etc., and so on. But that's really all you need to know. And if I was better at writing... Well, I didn't write a script, but if I was better at explaining things, this would not be an 11-minute video. It'd be like a YouTube short, but I hope this helped.